Hello, hello. Welcome to Boulder Insights August session of Tableau Live. I'm Heather Datillo, and I have my esteemed colleague and friend Chris Cox with me. He is what we lovingly call our GGTK, our good guy to know, and you're going to enjoy working with Chris and I today to try to help answer your questions live and on the spot here. We have received some questions in advance. So the way that Tableau Live works for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, if you have not submitted a question yet, please feel free to do so in the chat, or as we're going through questions today, you might have a few more that percolate up for you. Feel free to put them in the chat at any time throughout this session today. What we will do is we will cover the submitted questions and topics that have come in today from folks in advance of this. We'll then take either the open Q&A questions then, if we have some that have come into the chat, or we'll walk through an example of a survey that is one we've been doing for 5 years with the Colorado Health Foundation, and give you an example of survey data and creative ways to visualize that. And then we'll wrap up. So that is kind of how the flow works each month. And we'll go ahead and start to jump into this month's session. Before I do, I actually would love to ask a question of you all. How many of you are here for the first time joining us? Give me a 1 if you're a newbie, and give me a 2 if you've been here before. And let us know what city you're calling in from, or state. We'd love to hear that as well. Great. We've got a lot of California folks. We're seeing LA, we're seeing Milwaukee, Tuscaloosa, Colorado, New York City. That is great. North Kakalaki, so that is North Carolina. So San Jacinto, California, that's great. Thanks, guys. So glad to have you here. All right. So one of the first questions we have, and I know, Tim, you are here on the call, and I think you've added a bit more of information here as well. So Chris, I'm going to read off what Tim has put into the chat as well. And Tim, feel free to come off mute if you'd like to discuss the question more. So the question that was submitted was data blending when there are two different needs related to data refresh timing. And then Chris, some additional information that Tim has put into the chat is we have a date feed from a SQL server that is in an extract being refreshed daily at 0 dark 30 in the morning, and it's being blended with a live data feed from a Qualtrics from Qualtrics into an inbox. But it's not allowing us to have the two data sources come in differently, one an extract, one a live data feed. So thank you, Tim, for that clarification. I know Chris and I had a few questions. So is there anything else you'd like to add to that, Tim? Or Timothy?
I mean, my only real add is, does that even make sense for what we're looking at? So we just have the SQL server that we can't have it live data because it's just such a mass amount of data. So that needs to be extracted. Otherwise, it just runs too slow. And then we're trying to run a process at the same time with some live data that we're hoping can update live. And we're just at a loggerhead of exactly how to accomplish that. So hopefully somebody has some insights that we're not seeing at this point.
Okay, Chris, I'm going to hand this over to you, bud, and see what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, the only question I have is with your live data. Is that? I mean, you said it's coming from it's like. Well, I mean, I guess do you have a data source connected to it, or is it connected to like an out like a CSV or something like that?
Yeah, essentially, it's connecting to a Excel file.
Yeah, so that's that's your reason right there. So really Excel can't be technically live. I mean, you can make it live, but what happens is when you publish the server, you're actually pathed to the Excel file.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. No, it's not connected. Yes, the document is an Excel file. It's actually connected to a OneDrive that does have the ability to refresh live. We do that all the time where we're connected to a OneDrive, basically an Excel file in OneDrive.
Okay. So then, so yeah, and so what, and so are you getting some error or just won't refresh?
So, hi
Mason's
everyone.
Mason's on the call. He's on my link, so he has a little bit more technical information on exactly what's going on.
Thanks, Mason.
So the tool is designed for our student advisors to build advising sheets for the students. So what the dashboard does is a student advisor can use a Qualtrics survey that's embedded in the dashboard to basically add data to a table that is feeding from our server. So what the Qualtrics data is doing is left joining in a single data source to um, the data in our database. And the
Okay.
issue arises where our student advisors, they will enter something into the Qualtrics survey and then they won't see their changes reflected on the dashboard until the entire data source refreshes at that
Right.
0 dark 30 time.
Yeah, it's just because you have it. So even though it's a live, so in your workbook, do you have two data sources or do you have one?
I have one. I've tried the data blending approach and it's very tedious. It's not quite giving us what we need just because you can't write level of detail calcs between the two data sources.
Yeah, that's your reason there is because it's like what so before I thought you said you had two different data sources. One was live and one was an extract. So that'll work fine. But it has to be two separate ones. If you're left joining to an extract, it's going to be the whole thing's going to be an extract. So it doesn't work like that. Like so,
Okay.
and I can share my screen and show you. So for kind of example, I'll just go to a thing here. Is like so if I have this one is live, let's say, let's not do that one because that one's big. So if I have this one live and this one is an extract, then that's actually fine. Right. And so when I publish this, it'll have these on a schedule and this one will just be like a live connection. Right. But if you try to join it inside the extract, your whole thing is extracted. It doesn't matter that it was live whenever you did the connection. Because
Right.
this is the level that it does the refresh. It doesn't do it under the hood. So if you wanted this one to be live, you'd have to have two separate data sources and you have to actually blend. Then you're actually correct. You have to do it like that. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I'm following.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to schedule a 15-minute meeting with me, like offline, I can totally look at it and see if I can come up with anything creative for you. I'll see if I can find a way to figure it out. But yeah, I think you're kind of stuck unless you want to do the actually blending piece.
Yeah, I could probably take another pass at the blending stuff. As you know, it's a fun and tedious process.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
that definitely is. Yeah, I got some tricks that'll help. So maybe I can help you with
Yeah,
that.
that'd be great.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'll show you here. Chris, I'll go ahead and share my screen. So if you go to our website, you'll see this little blue bubble in the bottom. That's where you can click on that and schedule some free time with Chris. With that, just get into the free project consultation. And he can have you share your screen and kind of walk through that and see if there's any way we can troubleshoot that with you. Okay. And that's for anybody
Perfect. Thank
on the
you.
call, by the way. Yeah. We started just for some background about where Tableau Live came about, because we have so many new folks joining us. Prior to the pandemic and COVID, we actually ran the Tableau user group here in Boulder, Colorado. And we ended all of our sessions with a fun thing that we called Stump the Chump, which was this Tableau Live Q&A. Essentially, Chris was the chump and people were trying to stump him. So when we took this during COVID, we wanted to reach we wanted to reach more people throughout the country and try to support you all so you can be successful in Tableau. So that's why we offer this every month for free, but you can always go to our website and get some free time with us too. And we'll do our best to try to help answer your questions. We just want everybody to succeed. So Sarab is a regular for us and one of our former clients. I don't see that Sarab is on the call today. Am I right, Jordan? Am I missing that?
I thought I saw him.
I'm here.
Yep.
Yes.
No, he's there.
Oh, you are here. Okay. I just scrolled by you then. Oh, I see you now, Sarab. I'm sorry. So Sarab, I know this was a general question around date and time functions. So what we've done, let me actually escape from this. We have created a PDF file that we'll be going through piece by piece with this, but I wasn't sure if there was a specific date and time function that you have, but we had some fun with your question today. And I'm just trying to pull up that PDF again. But we created a whole PDF around it. But since you're here, Sarab, I was wondering if you do have any specific date and time questions that you would like us to answer before we jump into all of the options. So
I know nothing as like specific, but just wanted to, learn more about how to play around with dates, because sometimes you have to use data and you have, times in the data, and how to subtract the data, different dates, different times, and how does that work? Like I used functions like date part, date trunc, and stuff like that, but it sometimes gets confusing to a point where, I
it
tend to
really
give up.
does. You're not wrong, Sarab. Okay, so we'll go forward with the plan that we had, and Chris, we'll walk through some of these through the PowerPoint as well, but we'll be happy to send out this PDF to everybody. We tried to pull the slides into a PDF where we really want to give you the ultimate guide to Tableau dates, and good news, no flux capacitor is needed for this. And so we've had some fun with this. We'll talk a bit about date parts, date trunks, date diffs, date add, now and today, date and time, date time, make date and make time as some of the major functions, and then of course date parse. So if there's any of these functions that anyone on the call is most interested in, we can focus on that today. Otherwise, we can keep it high level as well too. So if you want to go to the chat and let us know of any of those date and time functions that piqued your interest, you let us know that as well. So Chris, I don't know how you best want to go through answering some of the questions, if you want me to do it through the slides, and we talk through how these work, if you want to go live into
Well, I mean,
the
if nobody has
file
any
or not.
specific date questions, we can just send this out and not worry about going through all these. I'd rather, don't you think?
I mean, what I can do, I mean, I think these are some great pieces of being able to understand date parts and pieces. So these are the main functions. I know I scrolled through that as well, but why don't I do this? I'll, go, I mean, we do have Sarab on the call. He's struggled with some dates and times. So I don't know if there's a specific one of these, Sarab, that you would like us to focus on, and Chris can give an example of it in the Twibix file, or we can look at, some of the other questions and then come back and work through as many of these as you'd like too, because these were our three main questions today, Chris. So we did some time today to focus on date and time functions too.
I can just give an example about, a problem that I face. For example, if I have to calculate a time between, two data points, but it is not 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. It is like two different times and dates. For example, I want to make a day which starts at 11 p.m. the previous day, and or 10 p.m. or any other time, and ends on another time, but not 12 a.m. to 12 a.m., which Tableau, generally does. So
Yeah.
I usually
Trying to
have
get down
difficulty
to,
dealing with that
yeah,
kind
if
of
you're trying to
stuff.
get down to minutes and stuff, I think it's better to kind of split those things apart and just calculate the days in one, and then like the minutes in the other, because you're gonna have a hard time figuring that out. But that's what I've done in the past. Just try to break it down into like manageable chunks. Really. But next time you have one of those, let me know, and I can help you kind of walk through it. Wish I had one because I know I've had to do the same thing many times, just not recently. But yeah, that's kind of what I would do.
And Chris, do you want to walk through any examples
I
right
can-
now? It sounds
I
like
can
probably
throw up
not.
I mean, I can throw some stuff on there, but I just like I think I'd rather show this cool stuff we have with the save the music, since he said we could share that.
Okay, well, let's get to all the questions first that we have around that. And you know, this sheet, I will, Jordan, would you mind putting it into the chat? With my
Can do.
Wi-Fi issue I've been having this week, it froze for me last time I tried to put a PDF in. So we could give you all this PDF. And if we have time, we'll come back and work through some of the pieces. I will tell you, dates and time are confusing in Tableau, and there's date parts and there's date values, and understanding which ones are discrete and which are continuous can be a little confusing as well. So I'm happy to give some information from that too. I can pull that up as well here at the end of the call to be able to walk through some of those pieces. So again, the key functions that will be in the PDF is date parts, date trunks, date diffs, which gives you the difference between two dates, date add, now and today, date and time, which is really where I think Saurabh was landing onto some of the date and time calculations. That was probably a date diff. So combining both of those functions, and then date time for merging dates and times as well. And then make date, make time, and date parse. So those are some of the key date time functions that you'll see. The PDF that Jordan is putting into the chat for you all will help get into some more details and give you the examples of how you can write these in Tableau as well. So let's spend a little time talking about exploring story options to move from a page sheet to another easily. So I don't know, we don't have the name of the person that submitted this question. So if you are on the call and you want to give some more context to this, let me know. Otherwise, I will pull up my Tableau and kind of talk through stories and all. And for those of you who don't know what a story is, we'll walk through that piece too. So let me pull up that. But if you're on the call, come off mute, let us know.
It was Nadia's question.
Oh, Nadia. Okay. So Nadia, do you have any additional context to the story function that you're trying to use that you'd like to add before I jump into this?
Hi, yeah, I would like, we had been working on a lot of dashboards, and every time we have a lot of sheets, and we want to provide it to the management to as a story. So every time we do it, we are not really satisfied with the story. We had been doing two different ways, but none of them are
Okay.
really as to navigate from a page to another. So I was thinking maybe you have a better solution for us.
Yeah. So what we tend to do, I'll be honest with you, Nadia, we don't use stories often. We actually create index pages and home pages that allow people to explore those things. So I'll pull up an example that's a live, that's a public facing project that we've been doing for the last 5 years, and kind of show you how we allow people to navigate using what we call an index or home page. But before I do that, I'll explain to everybody what a story is and how it is. And Chris, you could chime in too about why you're not a fan of stories. So, but they're there. It's a tool. They can be used, and they've made them better over time as well. So, when you all are working in Tableau, you'll know that you have your data source page, and then you'll have worksheets, and worksheets are made of the data that you've connected to. From there, you'll see that we have the little dashboard icon that's made up of the worksheets that are connected to the data. And then you can also create stories, and that's what this little book is here, that's created from dashboards or worksheets connected to the data. So it's kind of how that flow works. And so you have worksheets, dashboards, and stories. So when I click on story and it opens up, for those of you who have never used a story before, you have a couple different ways that you can lay out the story. So one is that you can add a caption, and you can simply drag and drop any of the things in here that you'd like. So this is a worksheet, and you can add a caption to it, like this is a dual axis map. And then you can add another piece to it. So you could add a blank story point, and you could even pull in then your dashboard that's in here. And, you know, this is a dashboard with a viz within a tooltip that's in it. So you could say something like, check out my cool live spelling is never fun, viz within a tooltip. So as you have those things created, you can see when I hop over Colorado, I can see how things are trending with it and show that. So each of these story points then can be continued to be built. You can, you know, add in whatever you have within your workbook and continue to add captions. You do have options within the story layout. So you could say, well, maybe I don't want captions in here, but I want numbers so people can navigate through each of the things in the order that you want. So the point of stories is they're essentially supposed to be like the PowerPoint of Tableau. So you could do numbers, you could do dots, or you could just have the arrows only that walk you through these pieces. So these are your options for stories. Now, Chris, why don't you chime in about why you're not a fan of stories?
My big reason is that you lose this space up here. And I think that especially with how screens are built these days, being wider than they are taller, having your navigation take up a spot that you can't format, like you can't format exactly how you want, kind of actually sucks. And so that's my main reason. And like I would just rather build a dashboard and then build some like a separate navigation.
So we'll give you an example of that, Nadia, too. And so we have a saying at Boulder Insight that real estate's expensive in a dashboard. And so you want to utilize each area of the dashboard efficiently. And you'll notice like some of the things I'd probably want to get rid of are these legends. They're really not needed in them. And are there ways that I can even improve that real estate as well? So stories are definitely an option, and be interested just to take a poll on here. If you've used a story before, go ahead in the chat and give us a 1, or give us some kind of emoji that you've got, and let us know that if you've used stories, and if you have any tips or tricks. This is a community call. We'd love to hear if you have some tricks. So, but Nadia, what I'll show you is we're actually have a poll. This is actually a website that this is a Tableau workbook that's embedded into a website. And this is the Colorado Health Foundation. They do an annual poll that's called the Pulse Poll to take a pulse of what matters most to Coloradans. What are the challenges they're facing currently? What's the impact on specific communities and demographics? And what are some of the solutions people want prioritized from their end users? So this is literally an index page, and it gives you buttons that you can go to each of these dashboards. So let me open this up and show this. And then Chris, we'll move into talking about some of the Save the Music cool work that you've been doing too. So you go to the Colorado Pulse Poll, and then you go to the results section, and you can take a look at what we've been doing over the last 5 years with them, and take a look. We have different looks and feels to them, but this is an actual one of the dashboards that we've built. And what we've done is we put images in the background. We have a parameter that shows it in English or Spanish, if you'd like. And then this allows people to click on whichever dashboard they'd like to go to first, rather than you specifically going through the story points with them. So it gives them a little bit more freedom. We really started doing this. One of the first times we really started leaning into index pages was the exact instance that you talked about, Nadia, where people had created several dashboards or worksheets, and it was with AARP was one of our clients, and they came to us and said, we have, 6 or 8, maybe 10 dashboards where we do a community survey poll every year. And what we're finding is people are only going to the first 2 tabs. They're never going to the last tabs of the view when we have this published. And so can you come up with a solution that will work with us to be able to do that? So that's what this does. So we're doing call outs on things that matter. So you could have a call out that's there. And then we create buttons using the navigation function in Tableau to be able to get you to the results sections and then start to say, hey, I'm interested in specific areas. I want to look at Hispanic, Latino, females who are 18 to 29-year-olds and see what really matters to them. And so that index page tends to be our solution to be able to allow people to navigate. The other thing that we're a big fan of is adding these types of things in the top right corner that also allow them to navigate between dashboards as well. So this little hamburger menu will give you the same buttons you had on the home page. We have a question mark that gives them information on how to navigate the dashboards more easily. And then the home icon takes you back to that original screen. So if I click on this hamburger, you'll see it pulls up each of those buttons to allow people to navigate. The question mark has information on, hey, everything's interactive. Don't be afraid, click on it all. If you want to select multiple things within the same demographic, you hit Control and hold that down, or Command if you're on a Mac, and how you can use this in different charts. And so we try to give them those hints as well. So this is how we've navigated away from stories to an index or homepage. So what do you need to do in an index page? Can you show us? Yeah. So to do an index page, it's essentially just, like here, for instance, I just put in the image. This is an image that's in here for this. All you're using is the navigation buttons. And so I can say, I can add navigation in here. Oh, double click.
Hold down shift.
Yeah, I thought I was. There we go. And then you just can put some images in there and add a navigation button. Why is my navigation button not showing up, Chris?
I don't know. I can do it on my side. I've already got
Yeah,
it.
do you want to do it there? That is so
I've already got
strange that it's
examples.
not. Okay, let me stop that, or we could even pull up the original one. And we do, it's floating, not tiled. Patty, great question. So we tend to put in a background image, and that's where those button images that we've created and come from. And then you can navigate, use the navigation, and you can edit the navigation buttons a bit from where you go. It's much easier now. Back in the day, when I was teaching classes for Tableau on the road all the time. Oh, thank you, Patty. I did have it set for tiled, not floating, but the shift should have undone that for us as well. You used to have to create a separate worksheet and navigate to the worksheet. Now this navigation button works a whole lot better now with it. So Chris, I'll let you go ahead and show this
So
to
how
Nadia, and then
you
we
do
can
it?
walk
So
through.
what I typically do if I'm building these out, like I know I've got three IQ pages. So what we'll do is we'll build a on version that's kind of a little bit more dim, and then a 2 version. So this one won't do anything. This is just an image. But when I go to this one, then this is an image, and that's now a navigation, right? So I can jump to wherever I'm going, and it just tells me where I am by having a different color. So how I do that, and I just save some time, I'll just say, okay, I'm just going to drag in a container, and I want to drag in, just to be fast here, I'll drag in navigation and navigation. Come on, mine's doing the same thing yours is doing.
Right.
And navigation. Okay. All right. So I got those 3 in here. So then I just edit the button. Then I say, okay, I want this one to go to somewhere. I want it to go to my demographics, and I want to choose an image. So this one I'll choose. I'll do these in a different color. I'll do these in icon. So let's do demographics on. So now that one will look like that. And then we'll just size them appropriately. So I think these are, so whatever size we want, I can't remember what size we chose, but that's pretty much it. And once you have these in there and everything's set, I'll pick another one. This one's going to go to grants overview. And choose the button, grants overview on that one. Okay. And same thing for this one. And
And
so,
so when Chris
I'll
is
show you
editing the
reason why.
button, the click down, it's showing you, do you want a text or do you want an image? He's choosing an image, but you could put text in just like you were for a story. And then he's saying, once he chooses that image, you know, what does he want the border to look like? Does he want a background? Does he just want the image with it? And you can even add a tooltip on that. Each of those buttons then navigate to it. So you can lay it out. It's just a dashboard that you're creating. And then you're navigating to the certain pages that you'd like to do with that. Let's see if I can find you a knowledge-based
then-
article on
so-
that. And it
Yeah,
is
so the
something we
reason
teach in
why-
the Boulder Insight Academy as well.
Yeah, the reason why I do it like this, I do it on one page first. This is another feature in Tableau that's really handy, is now I've got this built, but I need to add it to my other dashboard. So I can put it in a container and I could say copy dashboard item. Actually, first let me put it in the right spot. So if I was going to put it up here, I'll get it actually aligned properly and I'll know, okay, this is going to be, and I'll go ahead and know whatever my size is. So I know it's going to be the right size. So not 9, 10, 4. So now if I copy this dashboard item and I go to this one and I hit paste, then it's going to show up and I know all I need to do is make it 9, 10, 4. And then that's going to be in the exact same spot. And so now these are going to actually work too. So they'll do whatever they're supposed to. They're not supposed to. Because I was on that page, right? So same thing. I paste it here as well, and 9, 10, 4. So there we go. So if I want to hop back and forth, these all actually work. Yeah. So that's so that's how we do our navigation. They're always a little bit different. I really like having the icons that kind of mean something. That's kind of fun. But yeah, and then like I said, we do typically do a color to show that that's the page you're on, so you don't try to actually click it. But does that help answer questions?
And Nadia, I want to show you, I'm putting in the chat for everyone. There's a organization called the Noun Project. If you don't have a UI UX team, we're really blessed to have a great creative director and a UI UX team here that creates the icons for us. There's a great website called the Noun Project that I just put into the chat for everyone. It's thenounproject.com, all lowercase, easy to find. And the Noun Project has all kinds of icons that you can choose from, and that might help you as well if you want to create buttons and things for that. So I will share my screen. And here's the Noun Project. And you can, put in whatever, let's say that you're in education, and, start to pull up icons from that as well. So, and then you can choose a style of icons that you like best. And then these are typically all free to download and use. So that can be how you create your buttons. So just a great resource that we love as a company that we often go to and get inspiration from, or even use them as they are from there. So you can get different icon sets around that. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, it opens up a lot of improvements to your dashboard. It does. We just find that there's so much real estate we could use differently without having to use the stories, and that people sometimes want to hop right to, whatever they're most interested in. So if I go back to the results, some people may only care about, the mental health areas and healthcare. And so they don't care about the rest of the dashboard. This gives them that opportunity to do that. And you have the option to, create whatever call outs that you want from it, so they can go directly to that. And then from here, if you have one topic area like healthcare and mental health, we have some of the questions here, but this number 2, again, that's a navigation icon. We just put a number 2 in, that takes you to the second dashboard. So you can categorize by the areas and then have a couple dashboards within it, but still using that navigation technique in Tableau to be able to do so. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Well, Chris, I think the one question I know you wanted to do, sometimes we like to show some cool tips and tricks and some things we've been doing recently with clients. And we have one client we're super excited to be working with that's called Save the Music. And they really work very hard with school districts to try to save the music programs and arts programs in schools and have grants and different funding that they do to help support the school systems to keep those programs in the schools because they know that there's such great results for students, not only in their music, but also in the rest of their grades, academically, truancy rates, things like that, when arts programs are kept in schools. So Chris has been doing some pretty cool ninja moves with some of the work that we've been doing with it. So Chris, with some of the time we have left, why don't we dive into Save the Music and share that? They gave us permission. This has not even been published yet to their website or used. We're in the process of working on this project, but Chris had some really cool
I'm trying to
parameters and
I lost some of the functionality for
working
some
on.
reason. I'm trying to go back and find it. So I think I deleted.
Maybe
data
it was
source.
because those nav buttons we were putting in.
No, it wasn't that. I think I know what it was, but I didn't think but I'm trying to go back a few versions to get that to show you. But this is really a kind of a pitch, something we always tell people to do, and sometimes people like it and don't like to hear it. But this is kind of a reason to do it. Is if you have a choice between tiled and floating, we always choose a floating, and so I'm going to show you why right now, because with floating you can actually leverage layers. And so there's layers of things that you can do stuff with. So let me try to, hopefully this one's working. I'm back on version 11. Okay, sweet. All right, good. So let me share my screen. So what I did here, and I'll kind of pose it to the group to kind of guess how I did it. So I want to color on these different things. I want to color on burrows. So when I color on burrows, I actually want it to kind of stand. Daggone it. One was working. Hang on. Oh, I'm on 12. Sorry. Should be on 11. Here we go. So when I color on burrows, I had this yellow thing come around the side of the box. When I go to category, it's going to move that off and put it over here and highlight that box. And then grant type is going to do the same thing. Right? So how did I do that little move? Does anybody have any idea?
Any ideas from the crowd here? Any ideas from the audience of how did Chris make that parameter, the color by parameter, actually put highlighted boxes around that area? And then he also is using a parameter to change the color story. So how does he have the color story highlight boxes that show that area? So there's burrow, then grant status, changes color when he clicks on that. And dynamic zone visibility, Todd McGuire. What do you think, Chris? That's his answer. Never seen it before, Nadia is saying.
No, you can't. So you could do that if you only had 2. You couldn't do it if you had 4 because that whole dynamic zone only works off of a whole Boolean flag. So I have done that when I have 2. That's much faster than how I did this one. But how I did this is a
great idea though, Todd.
Yeah, and we can cover that in the next session. I'll do those too. But this one is really dealing with actually layers. So if I get down to the very bottom and I bring this to the top, so my very bottom layer is just a blank view, and then you'll notice I'll put this back at the bottom here. Floating order, send to back again. So that one is my bottom layer. Then I have 4 color charts, and then I have another thing that says punch through. So this one, I'm just going to move it a little bit. I'm on the punch through one. It technically has blank areas around those boxes. So I just put it in Photoshop, so selected the box, I shrunk it a little bit, and so then I deleted it. So all I'm doing is I am and then what happens is when I have my Burrow one, this is just a sheet that is a yellow box that sits in the background. So what that looks like is it's just going to have like a number 1 on it just to fill up the screen. And then I have a color by, which is going to color by the number that's on it. And then this one is only going to color if it's actually true. So I only looking for the true statement. So when I change to a different color, then this one says, okay, well, it's not actually Burrow anymore. So this would be my color true false. I'm checking for when 4 is true, else false. So each of these different colors gets that formula, which either shows me the color or actually shows me nothing. And so then with actually the magic of like layering properly, I'll put this one back in the right spot. So magic of layering these properly, if Burrow color goes below my punch through, then it's just going to show up of what I can see. So really it's all about layering. But if you do that, but you can't do that in tile. Does that make sense? I think that's kind of a cool little trick that really adds a lot to the dashboard, makes it more like a app or something. I kind of feel like. Any thoughts on that? What do you guys think?
That's pretty
There's a high
great.
five if you like it. Oh, there you go. Thank you for coming off mute, Todd.
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah, the other thing I like to do, and I'll show you on this one, is it bugs me that the donuts you can't do a like if you notice here, my actually background is perfect. So my background for the donut is actually exactly correct, versus you can't do a clear donut, which kind of sucks. So how I saw that is actually very, very similarly, is that if I looked at my donut chart here, I'll bring it to the front. So it's actually got a red background on it. Okay, that's my actual chart. But so it just looks like that. So what I did was still see the same thing with actually layering, is I have a hole. So this one, if I click on this image and drag it, it's just that spot. So it's a blank 16:9 image that is only colored in that circle spot. So all I do is I grab a copy of my dashboard when I have my donut placed, put it in Photoshop, select the red, and then select inverse, and so then just keep that spot. So that way, when I put it in place, it'll automatically fit perfectly. It's just those like little things that I really love doing. This one I always also played with a little bit. I built this web page, so they have a lot of pictures of students. So I thought, okay, what would be kind of fun? I'll go to the URL real quick. So I thought it'd be fun is if like they could do like an upload. So if they could say, hey, I got all these images, I want to upload images to a site. So every like 10 seconds or so, they're gonna rotate out. So doing the same method here, make sure I'm going the right one, this one. So doing the same method, I have this web object sitting in the back, right? So if I bring it to the front, that's the same one. That's the same web page. Okay. So what I do is I then say, hey, I want to actually punch that through. I want to put a hole in it. And let's see here. This one, that was called punch through, maybe not. Oh, that's my donut I'm on. Oh, that's right. Well, I had a different version of it. Maybe it's this one. Oh.
I think it would be number 7, Chris.
7.
Yeah.
I think it's called like punch through it, actually. So I can find it really quick. Demographics.
Version 10 has punch through. There's also version 6 that has hole.
Yeah, that's the actual hole of the donut.
Okay.
So okay, remove this. Okay, so I have two different ways to do it. So one is, so this one is actually looking at those images behind. So this one I have an image actually back there, like setting like that, which is fine. But I thought it'd be cooler if instead of that, we put this put this web page. So now that will just kind of rotate through, but you're still looking at a different layer. So they can load up their own images to the site, and they will just change every so often. So a lot of actually fun with layers and punch through holes and stuff like that. I think this thing is really neat.
So Todd has a suggestion, instead of calling it the dynamic zone visibility, we should call it the lunar eclipse method. I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
That's a good name. We have Kent on the call as well. He is our director of creative and UI UX. And one question that came in, Kent, that I think you might be able to help with, I think Kent's still here, is do you pay for icon sets or create your own? I know I shared the Noun project, but you have a couple other resources, I think, that you go to, and sometimes you create your own inspiration as well. But I think he might have gone. I don't see him anymore.
This is actually
Chris,
one
I
that
don't-
we use a lot. We use
Yeah, I was going to say we've been using a new one more recently.
this one. This we do actually pay for. We pay for whatever this is. I don't think it's much, but there's a lot of icon sets you can get from here. So we'll start with these, like that one that Heather was showing on that Colorado Holtz poll. We would find something in here and download or buy an icon set, then we would edit it. So the way they come down for this, it's actually vector art. So every little piece of the art is going to be different. So like I could download this guy and I can move his arm. So if I wanted him pointing up versus to the left, then I can actually do that. So it all comes in these vector pieces that you get full range to change. Now, granted, that's not something I can do. That's something that Ken does. He can do all that stuff. But for the easy stuff I can do, but that's kind of hard. But yeah, so I think those are the main two that we use. We use Noun Project and then Vecteezy.
Thanks, Chris. I could not remember the name of that one. So
Yeah.
yeah, so let's see. I think there was an additional question that came in, and this is a great question, Chris, that we're starting to navigate a bit more. This also came from Todd about incorporating machine learning prediction or classification models into a Tableau dashboard. And have we done much of that yet? Do we want to talk a little bit about that approach and those options that are out there right now?
So let me ask you this question: so is your machine learning running on the fly, or is it something that runs offline and then it just creates this data set?
It could be either way, Chris. Where I get a request for someone that wants to, have a prediction model, and then can we, instead of delivering that to them in a, just to a separate site, can we bring that in through a dashboard, and maybe, have it feed that model from some interaction they're doing on the dashboard and say, hey, for this group, what does it look like?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure you could feed the model with it, because the model have to run. I have to kind of run on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
But what can happen, and we have done this, is and this is something I can't show you unfortunately, but I can't tell you about it. We actually did some work for the Navy, where we took maintenance records of like F-16 squadrons, and what we would do is we would try to predict possible failures. So we say, hey, planes that have had X, Y, and Z, we see that this part is going to fail. So then we let you go and find those pieces. So then the model basically says, okay, this is the highest risk. You click on that. So that's what loads. But then that passes in the different components that would have to be checked. And then we would rank those components on each plane by when they actually had them actually last.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how we would do that. Because it's all going to be about what you're trying to change. So if your model says these are the different elements it could change, then let the model just drive you to which of those you should work on first. That's it.
That makes sense.
Chris, do we want to talk about our partnership as well with our one AI partner that we're starting to build some things out with them? Do you want to touch on that at all?
Well, I don't have anything to show. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're a little too new on that to show that. I mean, once we get a good demo up, I would definitely want to do that. We're kind of partnering with a couple different companies to bring that function in. There are ways we can do it on our own. We could run some simple models and stuff, but the world of AI is growing so fast, and I would rather like partner with somebody to kind of augment those things. So my ask for them is to do just what I just told you, Todd, is to let me give you a data set, let me give you the parameters, and then you spit back a new data set that then lets me filter mine. That's what I'm hoping. But I don't have that example with the company yet. The one I'm talking about for the Navy, we kind of built from scratch. So that one was very old, and it was built for that one purpose. So it's not I can just put anything in it, which is kind of how I would should actually be now. We should be able to load anything in it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Tableau's doing some great work with Tableau Pulse, Einstein Copilot, lots of releases that are coming. Yet they're only available via Tableau Cloud. So if you're not on Tableau Cloud and you're working from an on-prem server, those capabilities for AI aren't available to you. So that's also where partnering with some additional pieces as we get a demo built out, that we're in the process of doing that right now. We'll be sure to bring that to a Tableau live session and share with you all
one
too.
thing. I don't know if anybody has on the call. If you do, let me know. Does anybody have a website that they try to embed a Tableau dashboard that actually has a login to it? And does that does that work in Safari?
Give us a yes if you're embedding dashboards that into websites that need logins. I know, Chris, we also have the use case for public dashboards using UBL licenses.
Yeah, this is. Then we got a call from it was from like a Tableau a few weeks ago, and they have all their clients that use what's called UBL, these usage-based licenses. So this is a different form of public where you pay for the impressions. So it's not public, it's still going to be in some sort of some sort of a like a login. But when you embed that in your site and you're handling and you want it to be public-ish, you have to log in for it. Well, with a Safari kind of especially turning off all the third party cookies, then it actually wouldn't let you do that. So we actually came up with a product we call Big Cookie that actually solves that problem. So I think that's pretty neat. It was kind of built for a specific use case of this user-based license, but it can't work for any time that you're embedding one website into another where you have some sort of a login, because most browsers won't let you do that. You have to not to get too technical, but what you have to do is you have to take the cookies from the embedded site, decrypt them, and then rewrite them on the kind of outer site. That's how it has to work. So it's just a decrypt and encrypt kind of a transfer, but back and forth. So, but if anybody has that problem, I would love to get some more people to kind of test on this thing, just see if it works. Like we think it does. So
yeah, well, it did work yesterday with the client that has been trying to solve this since April, and we were able to come in and come up with a creative solution. One other thing that I want to touch on today is we are building, speaking of creative solutions, we're starting to build a suite of tools to help a lot with permissions audit, governance, data governance, security, and working our way through a suite of tools. One is this big cookie that Chris talked about, and some of the other tools that we're looking at. One that is in beta and that we're looking for testers is called Tableau Risk Review, and it looks at permissions audit and governance. We're looking for site admins or Tableau server admins to test out this beta. And so, Chris, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about it. We have 4 minutes left. I don't know if that's enough to even do a demo, but if y'all have any server admins or site admins that would like to test out this tool with us before we go live into the community. It's a really affordable solution, and one that came about for us. It was one that we had on our roadmap for a while, and one of our nonprofit clients had some issues where they had duplicated a folder within Tableau server. There was supposed to be row-level security where no one would have access to any of the information unless it was from their state. And we found where there were some permissions and compliance rules that weren't followed because they didn't know that to keep clicking so deep into it. And so Chris could give you an example of it, and this is one of the ways that we can resolve that as well.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So basically, we have kind of four risk policies that we kind of abide by. You can add your own whatever you want your policies to be, but like a good one for me is that the all users should actually not have access, right? And so here I look, I'm checking for this like 79 times. There's 79 places I'm checking. 4 of these actually failed. Okay, so if I was to say, okay, well, I know in this Visbot demo and then workbooks, I got some problems there. So let me go and I'll just fix those really quick, and then we'll rerun. So explore, so workbooks, permissions, and it's going to be in both of these. So I can just delete it here, and since my projects are nested, it'll knock them both out, because I would have something inside there. I think I have a Visbot demo folder. Yeah, so that's not going to be there anymore. So that's now gone. So now that's fixed. So then the next time this runs, which I'm going to go ahead and make it run, and you'll see that it'll go from, come on, let me in there. So I think it's on, which one it's on, I've already forgotten. This is it. So I'll have it to crawl. Perfect. I'm sure that might not even be the right one, but I'm gonna go run a couple of these because I don't know which one I'm supposed to be doing. That looks right. But anyway, so this will run, and it'll do an update. How we do it is we use the API, and so then we actually write these data sources to your server. So we don't store any of the data. It's all stored on your Tableau server, and then we write two different one workbook with two files. One is going to have your audit that was just the last run that was done, and it'll tell you down at the bottom what date it was. So that's when that one ran, and then we'll kind of give you a trend of what's happening. So yeah, so now I only have 4, because I think I had more than that before, right? Didn't I have more than that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah, I think I had that. But anyway, so then over here on this page, this is your audit history. So this tells you, hey, we found 27. There's 4 still open. You fixed 23, and then 15 were actually open for more than 5 days, right? So this gives you your list. So if you're trying to pass like a kind of a SOC compliance or something like that, this tells you exactly what's happened the entire year. So kind of a cool little product.
Chris.
Yep.
Pretty cool. So let me just thank you all for attending. We are unfortunately at time today, but what we'd love for you to do is join us. Go to boulderinsight.com and you'll see the Tableau Live link, or follow us on LinkedIn or Insta or TikTok and socials. That way you can join us as well and register to join us next month. So we'd love to have you ask your questions, and we hope that this was really beneficial for you all. Again, don't forget, you can go to boulderinsight.com and schedule 15 minutes with us anytime that you need some support in